Hi, I'm Michael New York, and welcome to the Forex market analysis for September the 25th, 2017. How the year is flying. Only 3 months to Christmas. All right, let's get straight into it. Now, this is the first analysis for the week. I apologize for not bringing more analysis videos to you last week. We did, however, release the new version of the Trend Profiteer software late last week. If you haven't got it yet, make sure you grab it from the downloads area. It's got some great new functionality, and I'm really excited about moving forward. We've had a few technical issues in-house, but moving forward, it's just great to be doing nothing but trading. So let's take a look at what we have available in the markets today. I'm just going to go through the charts, flick around on the time frames as I would on my own, and basically I'm just thinking out loud. So first of all, we're on the gold chart. This is the 4-hour time frame. Currently, it's in a downward move. We've got 5 out of the 6 higher time frames pointing down. We are getting a little far from the move, and I've mentioned a couple of times recently that when you take a trade too far from the move, the inception of the move, which right here would be the inception of the downward move, it's kind of like playing musical chairs. You don't want to, take the trade when the music stops playing. And although we could have some more downward movement at this stage, I would be very cautious. This trade that's just happened in the last bar, it's not too bad. It's got a fairly low a stop loss and a pretty decent profit for at least your target one. But I haven't really been a bear on gold for some time. If we look at the daily chart now, we can see that on this daily chart, we've had this big move upward. We have had recently a downward move, but we are sitting at support levels here. This was previously resistance. See how it bounced right off the level that we're currently at, and on these bars here. And around here, we saw resistance as well. So the question now is whether this resistance point will act as support. So I'm not fully into this trade as a short seller because quite recently there's been a lot of money that's gone into driving gold price higher. And if we look at the weekly, we can see that even more evidently. We can see that apart from this correction here and this little correction here and here, overall it's been going upward. So the last 2 weeks may be nothing more than a correction. And as I pointed out earlier, we are at an important level right now. So I would be personally on the sidelines on this particular asset and looking for potentially a move to the upside with a bidirectional, at least a bidirectional market in play here. And it's looking at a possibility, particularly on that weekly chart, as a opportunity to go long on gold. At the moment, there's no trade. If you do, play it short because that is the way the market is going. And as I always say, my only loyalty is to the market. So if I was trading this, I would be looking at trading short, going short. But is it a good time to trade right now? If you are, then to make sure that you lock in pips as you go and treat it more as a potential scalp. It may move further to the downside than expected, but you never know. It could flip and start back on its weekly uptrend and surprise everyone. Now, the euro, we're on the 4-hour time frame here, and it has gone to bidirectional. 3 are pointing down. The 4-hour is bidirectional or indeterminate. That's when the fast-moving average and the slow-moving average, or the gold and the gray moving average, are so close that it's indistinguishable to tell which way the market's going. And in this way, the only indication really is the price. So if we drop down on, say, the 1 hour, we can see that it has already been going down. Market opened with this gap. So we saw that, saw a bit of a consolidation and a drop down. So it may not have completed yet as far as its downward cycle. We've got this low here, so that would look, this last signal actually. If you took that, then you were in the profit pretty much straight away. 20 pips up currently, and about 65 odd pips to this low. However, like with gold, I would be keeping in mind the daily upward trend. I mean, trying to short this, it's a bit of a gamble. The money since April has been moving upward or going long on this trade. And if we look at it on the weekly, we can see it pretty definitely, like, why would you short this? Corrections happen, and that's why you would short it. But it depends on the strategy that you're using. And right now, if we drop back down to the 4-hour, we are seeing some price action to the downside. That's why I pointed out the 1 hour just before. There's possible trades there. And if you got this one at the end of the week, then you netted nicely on the market open. Not that I recommend that. This signal has moved down as well. So again, similar to gold, I'm on the sidelines with this. If you're going to go short on this, treat it more like a short term. It may extend further and you may bag some pips, but at the same time, we may see a resumption of the daily and the weekly upward trends. So personally, I would I like to play it more safe and have the odds in my favor, so to speak. So just get rid of this. Always clean your charts as you go. It's a good idea just to keep them clean. So just to backtrack a little bit, or to summarize, Euro, I'm more interested in going long with a valid signal. Okay, pound, very similar. It's been moving upward strongly over the last couple of weeks, and it was a little bit late. If you've been watching these videos the last couple of weeks, you'll know that it was a little bit behind the euro, but it's really taken off now. On the daily, we can see clearly an upward trend, and on the weekly, we can see a fairly gradual upward move. But that's going back, since around March this year. It's been going pretty consistently upward. We've had some consolidation areas, but where is it going now? Much like the euro, I would be more interested in a upward move. So there's no trade in this right now, unless maybe you find one on a really short time frame, like the 15-minute, or dare I say it, the 5-minute. I'm not a trader on those time frames. In the 5-minute and below, 1 minute you get into the realm of chaos, but 15-minute I find quite reliable, and it really synchronizes well with the 4-hour. So if you're in an upward on the 4-hour, then it's a fairly decent time frame to look at. So in the 15-minute, it's upward as well, and very gradual in the 30-minute. On the 1 hour, let's have a look. Okay, so we've just had a alert to the upside. It's within the Goldilocks zone. Actually, this is a little bit too far, way too far. So forget that I mentioned that. I'm just going through with my normal 4-hour templates. If I was doing this and looking for a trade, I would load up the 1-hour template, which you should now have with the new system. And if you haven't got the new system, make sure you download it today. Okay, so this is a fairly decent trade to get in on. A couple of things, what I like about it. I mean, 5 out of 6 high time frames are pointing up. That's a big bonus. 25 pips for your stop, 25 pips. And you've got about 40 to 45 pips. I would err on the side of conservatism and maybe put my stop around here, even 35 pips. Because if your stop is 25 pips, then that's just over 1-to-1 risk reward. And then you've got a nice high up here at 110 pips, maybe put it at 90 or 100 pips thereabouts for your target 2, and then of course target 3, activate your trails. So if you're playing a 1-hour trade on this, then at the same time as trend profiteers do, they're playing the higher time frames as well, because it's right here on your screen. So the reality is that you're looking at the potential of about 110 pips there on your daily as well. But if we again expand out, you can see that the potential is great. There's 1,500 pips to that high. So, of course, trend profiteer being a trend following system, you can place hard targets, but the whole idea is to not leave money on the table and to do your best to optimize your trades to the point where they're trailing and, in other words, following the trend for as long as possible. So just to the bottom line is that I'm looking for correction on the pound to go long on. Euro pound's been experiencing a bit of weight on it. Daily, we can see here it's well and truly moved down from the daily rally that it's had, but it's at a real consolidation level. So this is a tricky one as well. I'm really on the sidelines on this as well. We've had a bit of a correction here on the weekly chart, but yeah, overall it's been upward. So the euro pound I've been bullish on for some time. We had this correction, and I was talking about that about 2 weeks ago when I was looking at the correction between the euro pound and the pound Swiss, which actually was under pressure for a lot, and now is the total opposite. So, if you follow the signals and follow the alerts, then that's going to really help your trading as well. That's what it's there for. Tapping into our form of AI or artificial intelligence. It's why we use these trading resources to be able to assist us in those trades. So no trades on either of these at this stage. The horse is already bolted. If you took this one, congratulations, and vice versa on the euro pound. If you took this one, congratulations. Of course, the euro pound and the pound Swiss are reverse correlations of each other. They pretty much mirror each other, in other words. So, possibly looking at another flip. But at this stage, let's have a look on the daily on the pound Swiss, and we are looking very strongly up at this stage. So it's really a picture paints 1,000 words, so to speak. So short on the euro pound, long on the pound Swiss. No trades at the moment on either of those pairs. Aussie. Okay, well, we're coming up to a potential swing trade to the downside. 5 out of 6 higher time frames are pointing down. We did have a bit of an extension recently, but overall I've been fairly bearish on the Aussie, although it has been moving upward for quite some time, as you can see there. If we look at the weekly, it has been moving up as well. But it's possible that we've reached a tipping point. So right now, 5 out of 6 high time frames are pointing down. RSI is below the 50. MACD is below, is turning red. Now, if it actually closes below the signal line, even better. So what I would be interested in is if we get a nice movement down here, particularly if it clears, knocks out this parabolic SAR or PSAR. It's not part of the system, but it does help. So we've got some decent pips to this low here, but it would obviously need to clear this support. The thing about it, though, is the Kiwi has been under more pressure, and the Aussie Kiwi is actually looking like after going up for quite some time. Just flicking over to the daily, you can see we had these big moves here on the daily, and on the weekly, it's still in an upward. It's still in an upward move. The last couple of weeks may have been nothing more than a correction. So which way do we trade today or this week? Well, after these decent moves downward, and if you caught these, great. Again, congratulations. We look like we may be in store for a possible upward trend trade. If we get this crossover here, then everything else is in place. The RSI, the MACD, and the stochastic. Now, that would also change this to a green, and suddenly we would have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the higher time frames pointing up. So we have to wait until close is king, and let's see what happens. But this could be, a nice one at going long on, because overall the Aussie has been generally stronger than the Kiwi. Okay, dollar CAD. Dollar CAD has finally been making some moves upward. I have been bullish on the US dollar. Of course, unless it's been going down, or where I've been going short. Now that may sound weird, but when the trades occur, then I'm going short on those trades. However, the US dollar has been under a lot of pressure lately for reasons that I've suggested in the past. Politically, globally, there's a lot of things that are putting the US dollar under pressure. On the flip side, job levels are looking good. Job numbers are looking good. The Fed is looking at increasing their rates again this year, but I've heard that before, and these guys have sat on their backsides for sat on their hands for a ridiculously long amount of time on a ridiculously low interest rate that's caused a race to the bottom with currency wars on every nation pretty much, and it's affected economies of other countries. So I, for one, and I'm sure other traders, are looking forward to those rate increases occurring. And interest rate increases mean generally one thing, and that is the increase in the currency. So let's have a look at the USCAD daily chart, and we see here, it's been under pressure for a hell of a long time. I mean, dare I say, it's been a bit of a basket case. I mean, it really shouldn't have been this way, but that's how the cookie crumbles. Here we've got, if we get a lackluster crossover here, then it's not really interesting me. But if we get a nice big move here, at least breaking past these highs of 23.90, say we get a nice move to the upside over the next 2 days, then we could be looking at a potential daily upward move, and a lot of potential as well. Still downward on the weekly, but on the daily we're looking at a lot of potential to the upside. So if we closed up around here, there's 300 pips to there, there's 1300 pips to there. Now, I'm not suggesting that you're going to make that in one trade, but what I am suggesting is that when you know what the trend, what the general move is on the higher time frames, you can keep on going back in and locking in your profits, turning that equity into capital, going back in when you see another valid trade. So at this stage, what are we looking at? We're looking at if we get a nice swing, you could look at this on a 4-hour swing trade. Maybe on a shorter time frame. I'll just take a look on the 1 hour. It's just had one. It's a bit, it's not the nicest looking trade setup that I would that I've seen. That's fraught with a bit of risk, I dare say. On the euro, we've got one that's really up at that resistance level at this stage. However, if we come back to the 4 hour, this has been the problem. It's just been lackluster consolidation and a drop, consolidation and a drop, consolidation. Then are we going to swing up, or are we going to have another drop? So it's a bit dicey. I'm not really into this pair at the moment. Dollar Swiss, I've been more bullish on, and has been going well over the last couple of weeks. We've had some nice moves to the upside. Particularly just recently, actually. This is the ones from a couple of weeks ago. We had a move to the downside, but it went nowhere and then swung back up. 5 out of 6 high time frames are pointing up. On the 1 hour, you've got, let's have a look. Yeah, it's again kind of lackluster. There's not a lot of excitement in this. If we look at it, and that's the idea of looking at it on different time frames, say on the 30-minute. Yeah, I would be more interested in waiting for a correction than getting in on this trade at the moment. Dollar yen, I'm afraid to say that pretty much the rest of the charts are probably going to show no signals. Now, there are 2 trades that I looked at this morning in the chat room, and I'll go over those in a second. One did about 130 pips. in a couple of hours. It was a beautiful trade. I wish they were all like that. Unfortunately, they're not. But I'm not going to say a trade exists when it's not the highest probability. Dollar yen, for an example, great trade, great trade. Although you probably would have got knocked out on this one with this unfortunate spike. Great trade, great trade. This one would have survived, I'd say, if you kept your stop below where you're supposed to. But this is that musical chair scenario. It's getting a bit close. Still lucky. It continued to go upward. Here, I'm kind of looking at a possibility of being on the sidelines until we get a correction. Bidirectional at the moment. So let's see what the market brings over the next 24 hours. Euro yen also upward in nature. Looks like the first signs of collapse here. If we get a strong move down, we may get at least 3 of these pointing down. We will get the 4-hour if it crosses over, and we may get the weekly. Let's just flick over to the weekly now. And yeah, it wouldn't have to go down too far, this MACD, before it changes to a red. So, this one may change in a hurry. And although weekly is upward, daily is upward. 4 hours certainly been upward, but it's possible that we're, overdue or due for a correction. Pound yen, very similar in nature. No trade there. I mean, great trade, great trade, great trades. But here, yeah, now I should point out, for some reason, this one isn't pointing out. That was a nice valid trade as well, and that went really well. I'd probably need to fine tune my settings in this particular one, being a yen cross. But at this stage, game of musical chairs, I'm afraid. Aussie yen, a little bit indecisive, to say the least. It's been going up for a while. It went down, and it's not abnormal for that first downward move to fail, and that's because there's a lot of money behind it on the long, and vice versa. If you've seen a short trade go short for a long time and then suddenly get a crossover, I mean, you can take it, you can do well, but don't be disheartened if it fails. It's just the nature of trading, and it may be the case that it is just the first of potential run-ups, or the first attempt at price moving the other way. So, the yen crosses usually work pretty much in unison. If I was going to short anything, it would be the New Zealand yen, although there's no trade that exists right now. But maybe look at it on a shorter time frame, like the 1 hour, perhaps. Maybe a swing to the downside. But I would be a little nervous on that until I see, because we could still get continuation of that upward move that's been going for so long on all these yen crosses. Here you can see consolidation support. It's getting pretty risky now to go short on this if a short trade came up, looking like it now, but it doesn't really excite me unless it was a big move. If it was a big move and it cleared all of this. This is a great example where you could use the manual command pending the manual trade, go short at, and you'd probably put it for like go short at 115.30 thereabouts, saying if it's cleared all of this gunk, all of this consolidation, it would be a valid short trade, and that could be an opportunity to move down. Euro Aussie. Heck of a mess. Consolidation for quite some time. We did really well a couple of weeks back. We got these long trades. Just move this over here. These long trades here about 2 weeks ago. Since then, it's been a mess. And it looked like it was going up here. Then well, you would have certainly made some pips on this one unless you got knocked out here. A move to the downside, move to the upside now, move to the downside. I mean, this pair just can't make up its mind of which bloody way it's going. I would be looking. Well, I'm kind of on the sidelines in this. I don't like it at all. But if we get a move to the upside, then I would be more interested, because If you look at the daily, it's been fairly consolidation in nature, although it has been overall up. But on the weekly, you can see a bit more of what I'm interested in. And that is that although this isn't the strongest upward move, it is an upward move, and it's been upward apart from a messy consolidation for quite some time. So time will tell, and the indicators will advise us accordingly. But I'd be more interested in a valid up sell, an up trade than a downward sell trade. Pound Aussie, a little bit more distinct, moving stronger to the upside. 4 hour, we've got a nice swing trade happening now. Nice, other than the fact that it's so far away from the inception of the trend that I'm really not interested. One thing that I do like about this is the Pound Aussie, the daily has been just going really strongly upward, and the weekly has not got there yet. But no trade for me there. So on the 4 hour, if you're looking at anything potentially upward, and you might get, if you're really, really wanting to get into it, about 70, 80 pips for the stop, about 140 pips to the high. But it would need to be a decent move upward, because I don't like the way this fast moving average, the gold moving average, is pointing. So we need to get a decent move upward, and that might chew in some of the potential profits by having to increase the stop loss size. Now, Euro Kiwi, I suggested this as a possible in the chat room earlier. I was a little bit dubious about the resistance here, but it did break it. So not the nicest of trades, and I did put that down as a bit of a disclaimer in the chat room at the time. And it might still go well, but it certainly crashed. And if you'd come in around here when the alert occurred, then 40 pips, you would have been at least able to lock in some profits. So it's looking a little difficult in this case, but a move to the upside will potentially see this pair move higher. And the Pound Kiwi, my best trade for the day. I alerted in the chat room, and I do this from time to time. We got a nice strong move to the upside, downward move, and then just a beautiful move to the upside. Very strong, very steep, fast moving average here. So that was a real good one. So with that, it really didn't move against the position more than a pip or two. Very, very nice, and moved up. What a total of about 140 pips. 6 out of 6 higher time frames are pointing up. It's a royal flush, and what I'd be looking at now is a swing upwards. It's certainly looking strong. I wouldn't be taking it now. I'd be waiting for the valid trade to occur. That's on the 30-minute. If we look at it on the 1 hour, you could get in on it on the 1 hour as well. Maybe the 15-minute might be even better. Let's have a look. Nope, it's really moved as far as it'll go on the 15-minute. So back to the 30-minute where it was might be a nice one to park the trade. You can use your 1 hour template for that, or if you're feeling more conservative, the 15-minute. All right, so that wraps up today's Forex market analysis. I hope you've got some insights into the markets. Now, the market, we can't dictate when the trades are going to occur. Some days there's plenty of opportunities, and some days there's not. If you don't see good trade opportunities occurring with a good risk reward and a high probability of succeeding, just go on the sidelines, take a knee, and sit on the sidelines for a while. There's always going to be another good opportunity in the future. So be selective, and that will take you a long way with your trading. So with that, till next time, good trading, live well, and I'll see you soon.